So, hello, and here we are back with another booster display unboxing for Magic the Gathering Innistrad, and this is Innistrad Crimson Vow, the set boosters. So this means it contains 30 set boosters with 12 cards each. Each of these will also contain, in addition to the 12 normal cards from the set, an art card, as well as a 1 in 4 chance to contain a card from the list. And as you can see, these are the normal sealed Wizards of the Coast packages, and we're just going to open it. And I believe, although I could be wrong, that this also contains a booster topper. I'm not sure, but I have read this, so we will see if this exists. We shall see. I'm trying not to break it because I actually want to keep it, because I really like the art on this. Please, please. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this is a really beautiful piece of art that we have right here. I'm just going to pull up my chair a little. So this is the bride. No, is she the bride actually? I don't know. And here we have the box topper. So yes, there is a box topper. We will try and get this. Okay, I see. And so we're going to do this slightly differently. And I believe the box topper contains 1 card. Yes, it does. Oh, and it's Quincy Harker. Now, for this particular set, what they have produced is a special version of, and I'm just going to zoom in, a special version of some of the cards in the kind of like, redoing the Dracula story. And this is Quincy Harker. Normally he is the reclusive taxidermist, but here he is in foil. So it would have the same values as the taxidermist. So it's a 1 + 1 green. A reclusive taxidermist gets +3/+2 as long as there are 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard. And you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. And he doesn't turn, so we're just going to give him a sleeve right now. And we're going to put him to the side. So, then there should be 30 in here. Let's see, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yes, ×3. Okay, so like I said, there should be an art card in here, plus 1 card from the list if we are lucky. So if it's 1 in 4, then we should be looking at 7. Okay, so this is not from the list. We can see this already because it's a treasure. It's a token. So that's the last card. So we're going to turn it over. This always reminds me of Bloodbath from Blade 1. Beautiful piece of art. And it is Blood-Soaked Reveler, Justina Gill, or Jill, or Heel. I'm going to put it over here. We've got a land card, a beautiful forest. So these are different from the ones that you get in Serpentine Ambush. I still lack this card. I don't have 4 of those. Dreadlight Monstrosity as well. So this looks like a blue pack. Skywarp Scarb. Lantern of the Lost. Very good. It's an artifact. Lunar Rejection. Cleave. So this means that you may cast the spell for its cleave cost. If you do, remove the words in square brackets. So you could cast this for 1 and +1 blue mana, in which case you can return a wolf or werewolf creature to its owner's hand and draw a card. But if you pay 3 +1 blue, then you return any target creature to its owner's hand, draw a card. Roombound Wolf. Kindly Ancestor. She turns into the Ancestor's Embrace, which is an enchantment or aura. Drogskull Infantry. You can disturb him and they become Drogskull Armaments, an aura. Belligerent Guest. Beautiful. This is like the Dracula border. Whenever Belligerent Guest deals combat damage to a player, create a blood token. Graph Reaver, rare. Creature Zombie Warrior, exploit. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. When Graph Reaver exploits a creature, destroy target Planeswalker, a very powerful card. And he comes in for 1/1. At the beginning of your upkeep, Graph Reaver deals 1 damage to you, so you want to use him wisely. And then we have the Militia Rallier, and that is our foil card. Beautiful. Militia Rallier can't attack alone. Whenever Militia Rallier attacks, untap a target creature. So we're going to put our foils over there, and that is a token. And it goes onto our token pile, which we have over here. We've got a blood token, and we've got really beautiful art celebrating vampires, Falkenrath Celebrants. Falkenrath Celebrants. Plains, Blood Petal Celebrant. First strike as long as it's attacking. When she dies, you create a blood token. Courier Bat. Wedding Invitation. When Wedding Invitation enters the battlefield, draw a card. You can sacrifice the Wedding Invitation. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. If it's a vampire, it also gains lifelink until the end of turn. It's a good one. Vampire Slayer. Whenever Vampire Slayer deals damage to a vampire, destroy that creature. So that's actually Kaya, a planeswalker. Packsong Pup. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control another wolf or werewolf, you put a +1/+1 counter on Packsong Pup. When Packsong Pup dies, you gain life equal to its power. A wolf pup is always dangerous because a wolf pup is never alone. Cartographer's Survey. It's a sorcery. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put up to 2 lands from among them onto your battlefield and tapped. Put the rest at the bottom in a random order. Hookhand Mariner, Daybound, creature, human, werewolf, and he turns into Rip Hook Raider. For 6/4, can't be blocked by creatures with power of 2 or less, Nightbound. The local gossip swore Nesmith lost his hands in a fight with a werewolf. They were not entirely wrong. Blood Hypnotist, can't block. She's a 3/3. And whenever you sacrifice 1 or more blood tokens, target creature can't block this turn. This ability triggers only once each turn. Timothar, Baron of Bats. Legendary, mythic, rare, and from the commander deck. Ward, discard a card. Whenever another non-token vampire you control dies, you may pay 1 and exile it. If you do, create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying it gains. When this creature deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice it and return the exile card to the battlefield tapped. Very, very nice. So that's a black one. Goes over here. Averbrook Caretaker. Creature, human werewolf, hexproof. She's also rare, or mythic actually. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, put two 1/1 counters on another target creature you control. And she turns into Hollow Hedge Huntmaster. She's hexproof. Other permanents you control have hexproof. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, put 2 1/1 counters on each creature you control. And Lantern Flare is our foil. So another mythic. And also a sleeve for this one. Next pack. Oh, and these special Dracula cards can also be in these set boosters. Beautiful art again. This is Dracula Blood Immortal by Greg Staples. Forest, Vampire's Kiss. Blood-Crazed Socialite, Menace. When she enters the battlefield, you create a blood token. Whenever Blood-Crazed Socialite attacks, you may sacrifice a blood token. If you do, she gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. So then she's a 5/5. Voldaren Epicure. It deals 1 damage when it enters to each opponent. Create a blood token. Very powerful. Blood Fountain. When it enters, you create a blood token and you can spend 3/+1 swamp and tap it, sacrifice blood, and then sacrifice it. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Very powerful indeed. Blood Hypnotist. Can't block. I think we've seen her before. Mark of Waltzer, Flying Haste. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, up to 2 target creatures you control each get +1/+0 until the end of turn. Distracting Geist, Creature Spirit. Whenever Distracting Geist attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. Very nice, so they can't block. And then it turns into an enchantment aura when you disturb it from the graveyard. Whenever this creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. Very nice. Desperate Farmer, Lifelink. When another creature you control dies, transform Desperate Farmer into Depraved Harvester, Lifelink. Voldaren Epicure, the alt version. So we can now compare these two so you see the different types of art styles. I like them both. They're both really beautiful. Halana and Alina, partners. First Strike and Reach. They're human rangers. Okay, for 2 and 1 red and 1 green. First Strike and Reach. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, put X +1/+1 counters on another target creature you control, where X is Halana and Alina's power. That creature gains haste until the end of turn. Okay. Very nice. Catapult Fodder. Creature Zombie. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, if you control 3 or more creatures that each have toughness greater than their power, transform Catapult Fodder. And it's a lovely, lovely, lovely foil, and it transforms into Catapult Captain, whom you can sacrifice. You can pay and then tap it and sacrifice another creature. Target opponent loses life equal to the sacrificed creature's toughness. Wow, and he's got 2/6, so that goes into our pile over here. Stitcher's Supplier. This is from the list. It's a creature zombie. When Stitcher's Supplier enters the battlefield or dies, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. No part goes to waste. So First one from the list, M19. We've got another token, a spirit, and we start off with a beautiful piece of art, which I can't even tell what it is supposed to be. It looks like a dress and a headpiece. Let's see. It is The Bride's Gown by Eric Deschamps. Here we've got a beautiful forest in foil. Falconwrath Celebrants, we've seen those. Gluttonous Guest. When she enters the battlefield, you create a blood token. Whenever you sacrifice a blood token, you gain 1 life. Very nice. Goes over here. Belligerent Guest. Trample. Whenever she deals damage, combat damage to a player, create a blood token. Very nice. Witness the Future, Sorcery. Target player shuffles up to 4 cards from their graveyard into their library. You look at the top 4 cards of your library, then put 1 of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Thirst for Discovery, instant. Draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard a basic land. Into the Night. You can see the pause, and this person is, this is so beautiful. So you see the human footprints here, and then they turn into wolf prints. It becomes night. Discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards plus 1. The Weary Prisoner, Defender. And she turns into the Wrathful Jailbreaker for 6/6. Gluttonous Guest, again, this is the alt art. We saw her here already. So you can see the 2 different versions, really beautiful. I mean, both are beautiful. It's just so, I really love it that they give so much credit to, or the ability to their own artists to decide how to paint. Then we've got the Blood Petal Celebrant, again the old art. Has first strike as long as it's attacking, and when she dies we get a blood token. And we've got the Headless Rider. It's a rare. It's a zombie creature. I love this image, and you can see there the cormorant in the moon at the back. Whenever Headless Rider or another non-token zombie you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie token, and this is also a rare card. And we've got the Heron Blessed Geist as our beautiful foil. And it won't open. This one's a toughie. We've got an insect token. And we've got someone who is basically, who's dead in a tree. A swamp. The Estwald Shield Basher, a human soldier, and whenever they attack you can pay 1 mana, and then if you do this it gains indestructible until the end of turn. Damage and effects that say destroyed don't destroy it. Alchemist's Retrieval. It's an instant. You can cleave 1 or just pay 1 blue or 1/1. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. And if you pay the cleave cost, you can take your own. But if it's not, if you don't pay the cleave cost, then it's for somebody else. Cruel Witness. It's a something creature bird horror. It's flying. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard. I escaped, so why do I still feel like I'm being watched? Well, Syncopate. It's an instant. Counter target spell unless its controller pays X. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard, and you decide how much you want to pay for it. So if you pay 5 plus the blue, then they would have to pay 5 for their spell not to be countered. Frenzied Devils, they have haste, so it means that they don't suffer summoning sickness, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Frenzied Devils gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. So then they would be 5/5. Very powerful indeed. Wash Away. It's an instant. Counter target spell that wasn't cast from its owner's hand. Or you can just counter any spell if you pay the cleave cost. Storm Chaser Drake. Beautiful art again. Beautiful art. It's a flying creature, 1/1. Whenever it becomes the target of a spell you control, draw a card. Radiant Grace, an enchantment. You enchant a creature and it gets +1/+0 in vigilance. When it dies, return Radiant Grace to the battlefield transformed under your control, attached to a target opponent. And then it's Radiant Restraints, and you enchant a player. Creatures enchanted, players' controls enter the battlefield tapped. It's a very powerful spell. Restless Bloodseeker, that's a rare. We haven't seen it at all yet, and especially not in this alternate form. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, create a blood token. Sacrifice 2 blood tokens, transform Restless Bloodseeker and activate only as a sorcery, and he turns into the Blood-Soaked Reveler. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, create a blood token. You can pay 4/+1. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Very nice card, really lovely. We've got another rare, Runo Stromkirk. He's a legendary creature, vampire cleric flying. When he enters the battlefield, put up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card. If a creature card with mana value of 6 or greater is revealed, this way transform Runo Stromkirk. And then he becomes Crothus, Lord of the Deep. He's a Kraken horror, and he's also flying, and whenever he attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of another target attacking creature. If that creature is a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, or Serpent, create 2 of those tokens instead. That's a powerful guy. And then we've got the Griff Rider, Human Knight, and he is our foil. This foil is a little bit, or quite subtle actually. Then next up, nothing from the list this time. I'm liking the cards. And so, as you see, there is 12 cards in there, and there's always a land card in there. So you could say that you get 11 cards. So you get 330 non-land cards in there. So that's pretty good, because the whole set has 227 cards. Okay, so it won't open. Now it does. We've got a zombie token. And a beautiful one at that. We get, we've got the wedding hearse. Beautiful artwork. It's a vehicle. Yeah, honeymoon hearse, sorry. I stand corrected. Mountain. Bleed Dry. We saw this in the other deck. Gift of Fangs. Enchanted creature. It's an aura. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 as long as it's a vampire. Otherwise it gets -2/-2. So you can also use this on your opponent. Grisly Ritual, destroy target creature or planeswalker, create 2 blood tokens. 4, 5 and 1. Pointed Discussion, you draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, then create a blood token. Geistlight Snare. It's an instant. This spell costs 1 less to cast if you control a spirit. It also costs 1 less to cast if you control an enchantment. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. Whispering Wizard. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token while flying. With flying, this ability triggers only once each turn. Lantern Bearer. You can disturb it. I mean, it's beautiful with all of these flying lanterns around it, and it turns into Lantern's Lift. You can use it to enchant a creature so that it gets flying. Falcon Wrath Celebrants, the alt art, beautiful artwork as well. Skulking Killer. It's a vampire assassin, also with completely different art. I've never seen this card in any of the unboxings that I've watched. When Skulking Killer enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-2 until the end of turn if that opponent controls no other creatures. Very nice with the maze. Kaya, Geist Hunter. That's a rare, mythic rare, and she is a planeswalker. That's Kaya for you. She is 1, +1 white and 1 black. Creatures you control gain Death Touch until if you put if you increase your loyalty by 1, and you put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature token you control. Straight. And we have something, Undying Malice. It's an instant foil. It's edge foil. Quite subtle, and oh no, not as subtle. It's beautiful. And here we have said Kaya. It is the same artwork, and it is Kaya drawn by Kaya Geist Hunter by Ryan Pancoast. And we've got an island in foil. Flame Blessed Bolt. It's an instant. It deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead. Pyre Spawn, beautiful piece of art again. Creature elemental, when Pyre Spawn dies, it deals 3 damage to any target. And this also includes a player, because if it just says target, it is anything. It can also be a land. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. Sanguine Statuette. When Sanguine Statuette enters the battlefield, create a blood token. Blood Tithe Harvester. It's a rare. You create blood tokens when he comes in. Desperate Farmer. Lifelink, Human Peasant. He turns into Depraved Harvester. We've seen him before. Ragged Recluse. She's a human peasant. At the beginning of your end step, if you discarded a card this turn, transform Ragged Recluse into Odious Witch. Whenever Odious Witch attacks, defending player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. We like that. Then we have the Blood Crazed Socialite in alt art. Beautiful. I have her, but not like this. Beautiful. She's got Menace, and when Blood Crazed Socialite enters the battlefield, create a blood token. Whenever Blood Crazed Socialite attacks, you may sacrifice a blood token. If you do, it gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. Menace means she can only be blocked by 2 or more creatures. Belligerent Guest, Trample, beautiful artwork again, seen her before. Winged Portent, and please note the skull that they're forming. Instant, it has a cleave cost, it's also rare. You may draw a card for each creature with flying you control, and if you pay the higher cost for each creature you control. Daybreak Combatants, I was going to say Consultants. Human Warrior in foil. And the Seething Song from the list. It's an instant, and it is a beautiful dragon. You can You pay it, you pay 2 plus 1 red, and you add 5 red to your mana pool. If your flesh can withstand the flame, the spirit of the dragon will burn within your soul. God, this one is not cooperating. We're going to take the next one. Very nice. I have no idea who this is because I'm not steeped in its lore. This is Edgar, Charmed Groom. Here we've got a swamp. And we're starting with Piercing Light, which is an instant. Piercing Light deals 2 damage to a target attacking or blocking creature. Scry 1. Look at the top card of your library. You may put that card on the bottom of your library. You may, you don't have to. Sigarda's Imprisonment, enchant a creature. Enchant a creature can't attack or block. Unholy Officiant, this is one that we have seen many, many times. I'm just going to put it in here because that's definitely going to go into our doubles. Traveling Minister, I've only seen this once. Target creature gets +1/+0 until end of your turn. You gain 1 life. Activate only as sorcery. Ancient Lumber Knot, creature, tree folk. Oh, yes, it's a tree. Each creature you control with toughness greater than its power, okay, assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Okay, it's cool. Spiked Ripsaw. Equipped creature gets +3/+3, and whenever equipped creature attacks, you may sacrifice a forest. If you do, that creature gains trample. You equip it for 3. So you play it for 2 and 1, and then you equip it for 3. Alluring Suitor, creature vampire, 2/3, nothing special. He's rare. When you attack with exactly 2 creatures, transform Alluring Suitor into Deadly Dancer, trample. When this creature transforms into Deadly Dancer, add 2/2 until the end of turn. You don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Okay. You pay 2/2, Deadly Dancer, and another target creature gets +1. Each get +1/+0 until the end of turn. Super. So you can presumably use this. Unholy Officiant, alternate art. Falconwrath Celebrant, Menace, beautiful. A Demonic Bargain, sorcery, beautiful art. Exile the top 13 cards of your library, then search your library for a card. Put that card into your hand and then shuffle. I guess. Cloaked Cadet in foil. And a sorcery, Painful Lesson. And this is funny because this is from the list and I've already got it. So let's see if this one will cooperate now, because it wouldn't earlier. Yes. And we've got a Drake, and it's signed as well. And this is Mana Form Hellkite by Andrew Marr. So it's not a Drake, it's a Hellkite. We've got a Swamp. Ancestral Anger, it's a sorcery. Target creature gains trampling, gets +X/+2 until the end of turn, where X is +1 plus the number of cards named Ancestral Anger in your graveyard, and you draw a card. Bloody Betrayal, it's a sorcery. Gain control of a target creature until the end of turn. Create a blood token. It gains haste. No, sorry. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains haste until the end of turn. Ceremonial Knife, it's an artifact, equipment. Creature gets +1/+0 and has, whenever this creature deals combat damage, create a blood token, equip 2. Okay. Blood Servitor, it's an artifact, creature construct. When Blood Servitor enters the battlefield, create a blood token. 2/2. Wandering Mind, that's so Lovecraftian. It's a flying horror. When Wandering Mind enters the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom. So essentially enchantments, for example, or spells, or instants and sorceries. Magma Pummeler, it's an elemental, 0/0. And you pay X +2 reds, and this X determines how powerful it is, because for each additional mana you pay, it gets +1/+1. You prevent the damage when it gets damaged by removing 1/1s from it. It's a red one. And the Kindly Ancestor again. Weaver of Blossoms, creature, human, werewolf. Haven't seen this one. You can add a mana of any color and she turns into Blossom-clad werewolf. And when she is in her night form, you add 2 by tapping her. And the Unholy Officiant again. Inspired Idea, sorcery. It's rare, cleave, 3/2/2. If you don't pay the cleave card, then your maximum number of cards your hand is reduced by 3 until the end of the game. But if you do, then you just draw the 3 cards and nothing happens. Markov Retribution. And that's our beautiful, beautiful foil. And we get a token. A day-night token. Okay, so far we've not really pulled any of the transmogrified characters from the Dracula except for the box topper. Ooh. I believe this is Renin 7. No, this is not Renin 7. This is the other Planeswalker. I forget his name. Sorin? Yes, Sorin the Mirthless by Ayami Kojima. This is also one we're looking for. Forest, Selhoff and Tuma. A zombie, discard a creature card and draw a card if you tap it. Chill of the Grave. A tap target creature, it doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step and you draw a card. Fear of Death. Enchant creature, when Fear of Death enters the battlefield, mill 2 cards. Put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Enchanted creature gets -X/-0, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard. Okay, something for the mid-game. Scattered Thoughts. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, put 2 of those cards into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Markov Purifier, lifelink at the beginning of your end step. If you gain life in this turn, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. Parasitic Grasp, I've seen this before, we don't need to go over it. Catapult Fodder, this time in non-foil. And they turn into Catapult Captain, and that is black. Oh, beautiful. I was looking for this. Child of the Pack. Creature, human, werewolf. Beautiful. Little Red Riding Hood. 2/1/1. Create a 2/2 green wolf green wolf creature token, and it's day-bound. Her face shines with youthful innocence, and at night she turns into the savage pack mate. And she is 5/5, and the other creatures you control get +1/+0. Restless Bloodseeker. Again, we've seen this before. Beautiful art. Well, I keep saying this, but it's true. Hullbreak Horror. And that is a Kraken Horror Flash, and it is rare. Pointed Discussion. Beautiful foil. And nothing from the list. So that was the first 10. And interestingly enough, really, we haven't seen anything from the Dracula list. That's a bit weird, but we still have the Crimson Vow Collector's Edition. So I would expect to see some in there. Oh, I watched Deadpool for the first time today. I really liked it. Both of them, actually. And it's not opening, losing patience. And here we've got the Griffin. It's a cormorant, and it is the Griff Rider, Young J. Choi. An island, Repository Scarb. It's a creature zombie exploit. You can sacrifice a creature when this creature enters the battlefield, and when Repository Scarb exploits a creature, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Very nice card draw mechanic. Stitch Assistant, we've seen him before. Wretched Song, we've seen him before, and I think I've got this very many times, so we're going to put it over here. Estwald Shield Basher, we've seen this before as well. Did I get these mixed up? I did. Skull Scarb, a zombie exploit. Again, when you do this, you create a zombie token. Fell Stinger, Death Touch. You can exploit it. When Fell Stinger exploits a creature, target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. Restless Bloodseeker. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, create a blood token, sacrifice 2 blood tokens, transform Restless Bloodseeker, and activate only as a 3/3 sorcery. And here it's the Blood-Soaked Reveler. That's the art that we saw earlier. Another Voldaran Epicure. The Gluttonous Guest again. Graph Reaver again. Eruth, Tormented Prophet, legendary creature, human wizard, rare. If you would draw a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library instead. You may play those cards this turn. She is cursed with visions of monsters and suffering, and all her visions come true. I wonder if it says you may play those cards this turn, does it still mean you have to pay the mana cost normally? Or yeah, probably, because otherwise it would say just put them in battlefield. So if you would draw a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library instead. So that happens every single time you draw cards at the beginning of your turn. And then we've got the Invisible Stalker from the list. Creature, human rogue, hexproof. All that concerns me is the vampire sense of smell and those freezing Nephalian nights. Oh, that is actually from Innistrad, Shadow over Innistrad. So this is an actual Innistrad card. That's lucky. Oh, it's a signed card, beautiful, and it is the Butlers. The Undead Help, or whatever they're called. Dying to Serve by Stephen Belladin. We've got a mountain, a blood fountain, we saw this before, Falconrat Celebrants, Gluttonous Guest, Belligerent Guest, Blood Petal Celebrant, Archghoul of Thraben. It's a rare card, Zombie Cleric. Whenever Archghoul of Thraben or another zombie you control dies, look at the top card of your library. If it's a zombie card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. If you don't put the card into your hand, you may put it into your graveyard. You don't have to. Undead Butler. And when Undead Butler enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. And when Undead Butler dies, you may exile it. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Hookhand Mariner, we saw him before. There's very few green cards so far. Ragged Recluse, we saw her already. Sigarda's Summons, rare. Enchantment creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have a base power of and toughness of 4/4, have flying and are angels in addition to their other types. Very nice. Gluttonous Guest in foil, beautiful. And we've got the Chatter of the Squirrel sorcery. Put a 1/1 green squirrel creature token in play. We're doing really well with regard to the list so far. We've had 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. We're expecting, yeah, no, we're not doing especially, we're just doing normally. We would be expecting about 7. $7.5 to be exact, so 8. Beautiful card, and it is Cemetery Gatekeeper by Tyler Jacobson. Got a forest. Alchemist's Retrieval, it's an instant. You can cleave it as well. Return target non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. We've seen this before. Cruel Witness, yeah, we've seen this one before as well. Syncopate, we've seen this one. Serpentine Ambush, ditto. Hero's Downfall, that's new. It's an instant. You destroy target creature or planeswalker. Very nice. Markov Retribution, sorcery. Choose one of both creatures you control get +1/+0 until the end of turn, and target vampire you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature. Biolume Egg. When the egg enters the battlefield, scry 2. It's a defender. When you sacrifice Biolume an egg, return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Serpents leave their eggs in the cold and inky depths, and it turns into Biolume Serpent for 4/4. Sacrifice 2 islands. Biolume Serpent can't be blocked this turn. It's a last-ditch effort. Markov Purifier, Alt Art, Lifelink. Saw him already in a different art style. Blood Petal Celebrant, ditto, we've seen her already. Cemetery Gatekeeper, that's the same that we saw earlier. Here we are. And Creature Vampire, and it is a mythic rare. First strike for 2/1. When Cemetery Gatekeeper enters the battlefield, exile a card from your graveyard. Whenever a player plays a land or casts a spell, if it shares a card type with the exiled card, Cemetery Gatekeeper deals 2 damage to that player. Card type. So is that creature? I suppose we'll have to check what card type actually refers to. And we've got the Vampire's Vengeance. It's an instant we haven't seen before as our foil. Vampire's Vengeance deals 2 damage to each non-vampire creature. Create a blood token. Olivia was quick to make an example of any village that refuses to pay her blood tithe. Okay, and there is nothing there. That's just strictly better. It's a magic minigame. It won't open. And we've got a zombie. No, we've got a. Oh yes, we do have a zombie token, and I think this is the 4th type that I've seen. And ooh, that's the Epicure old art, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. We've got a mountain, a courier bat. We know this already. Wedding invitation. We've seen this before. Vampire slayer as well. Skulking killer. That is the one that we also saw with the maze. So this is the different art style. Very nice. Vampire's vengeance. We just saw this. Alluring suitor. Yeah, we've seen this before. When you attack with exactly 2 creatures, transform him. Fearful villager, a menace, can only be blocked by 2 or more. Human werewolf, and he turns into fearsome werewolf. Beautiful. Bloodsworn squire, rare, no, uncommon. Vampire soldier, 1+1 skull, discard a card. Bloodsworn squire gains indestructible until the end of turn, and you tap it. Then if there are 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, transform Bloodsworn Squire into Bloodsworn Knight. Bloodsworn Knight's power and toughness are each equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. You pay 1+1, discard a card. Bloodsworn Knight gains indestructible until the end of turn. Okay, very good. Gluttonous Guest. Henrica Domnati, legendary creature vampire flying. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Each player sacrifices a creature, you draw a card and you lose 1 life, or transform Henrica Domnati into Henrica Infernal Seer. Flying, Death Touch, Lifelink. 1/1/1. Each creature you control with flying, Death Touch and or Lifelink gets +1/+0 until the end of turn. Once you've tasted demon blood, you'll wonder why you ever settled for human. And this is a mythic rare. So we're going to sleeve it straight off the bat. And we've got the Witch's Web, which we've seen like 1 gazillion times already, and it is in foil. Oh yeah, and by the way, I bought this on Card Trader, the website, and from a retailer that I know, and I got it including shipping for 107 euros, including also the transaction fee. So that's a really good price. Yeah. Ooh, that is some art for you, and it is the old art Dorothea, Vengeful Victim. Got a Plains, Piercing Light, Sigarda's Imprisonment, Unholy Officiant, Traveling Minister, Skulking Killer again, Vampire's Vengeance again, Lantern Bearer again, Bloodsworn Squire, we just saw her, Imperious Mindbreaker. It's a creature human wizard. It's from the it's rare. It's from the commander decks. So Soulbound. You may pair this creature with another unpaired creature when either enters the battlefield. They remain paired for as long as you control both of them. As long as Imperious Mindbreaker, I have to check what this means, is paired with another creature. Each of those creatures has, whenever this creature attacks, each opponent mills cards equal to its toughness. Okay, for 1 and 2. Welcoming Vampire, flying. Whenever 1 or more other creatures with power 2 or less enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn, and we have it's a rare. And here we've got Geralf, Visionary Stitcher in foil. And a day and night token. That looks like villagers attacking, and it is Daybreak Combatants. by, my apologies, Joshua Raphael. We've got Plains, Dreadlight Monstrosity, we saw this before, Skywarp, Scarp, and I'm really, you know, this is the amount of green cards we've got, the number, it's very small. Cell of Entomber, Chit of the Grave, Dread Fugue, Sorcery, Cleave 2/1. Target player reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it with mana value 2 or less. That player discards that card. Or you can make them discard any card. Honeymoon Hearse again. Groom's Finery. Catapult Fodder. Belligerent Guest. Sundown Pass. It's a rare land. Yeah. And then Catilda Dawnheart Martyr in foil. We've got the Catilda Dawnheart Prime from the other set. Spirit Warlock, Flying, Lifelink Protection from Vampires. I'm going to put this into our foil pile. It's a copy. This token can be used to represent a token that's a copy of something else. That's the Lunar Rejection, I believe. Yes, it is. And that is a basic land island. Fear of Death, Scattered Thought, Nurturing Presence, enchantment creature. Enchanted creature has whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, this creature gets +1/+1 until the end of turn. When Nurturing Presence enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Cradle of Safety, Flash, enchant creature you control. When Cradle of Safety enters the battlefield, enchanted creature gains hexproof until the end of turn. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. Steelclad Spirit, Defender. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, Steelclad Spirit can attack this turn as though it didn't have Defender. Bride's Gown. Wedding Security, Vampire Soldier. Whenever they attack, you may sacrifice a blood token. If you do, put a +1/+1 on Wedding Security and draw a card. In lieu of payment, he was granted permission to devour any unauthorized visitors. There is a huge hammer. Drog Skull Infantry can be disturbed and become a Drog Skull Armaments enchantment. We've seen this before. Here we've got a green one. Oakshade Stalker, creature, human ranger werewolf, uncommon, turns into Moonlit Ambusher. Keswick Wolf Rider, haven't seen this one. Human Knight, rare. Menace, exile 3 cards from your graveyard, create a 3/2 red wolf creature token. And Blood Tithe Harvester in foil. Beautiful. 13 more to go. Okay, we're going to do this differently because I do want to keep some of those booster pack. Okay, now this is a beautiful piece of art. I love castles. This one is a beauty. Visit Dracula's Castle. Voldaren Estate by Richard Wright. Here we've got a foil mountain. Heron of Hope. That is a creature bird flying. If you would gain life, you gain that much life +1 instead, and you can pay 1 and 1. Heron of Hope gains lifelink until the end of turn. Heron Blessed Geist. Now this looks like a white pack, and then we've got the Nebelgast Beguiler. You pay and then you can tap it to tap a target creature, and this one has flying. Exile Heron Blessed Geist from your graveyard. Create 2/1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. Activate only if you control an enchantment and only as a sorcery. Okay. Edgar's Awakening. Sorcery. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. When you discard Edgar's Awakening, you may pay 1 black mana. And when you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand Here you go. Can't have you sleeping through your own wedding day. Sanguine Statuette. It's an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, create a blood token. Whenever you sacrifice a blood token, you may have Sanguine Statuette become a 3/3 vampire artifact creature with haste until the end of turn. Fearful Villager. Human werewolf. Turns into fearsome werewolf. We saw him before. Lantern Bearer we've seen as well. Blood Petal Celebrant as well. Kaya, Geist Hunter, alt art, full art, borderless, beautiful. No, it's not alt art. I think it's the same art, but it's borderless, isn't it? No, it's actually not the same art. It's alt art and borderless, and we're gonna give her a Runos Dromkirk. Legendary creature, vampire cleric, flying, rare. We've seen him before. Blood Betrayal in foil. Blood token, and we have an angel, angelic quartermaster, an island, supernatural rescue, enchantment aura. This spell has flash as long as you control a spirit. When you cast this spell, tap up to 2 target creatures you don't control. Enchant creature you do control. Enchanted creature gets +1/+2. A Griff Rider, flying creature, training. Whenever this creature attacks with another creature with greater power, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Parish Blade Trainee. Again, a creature, human soldier with training. Same thing. Adamant Will. Instant target creature gets +2/+3 and gains indestructible. Dread Fugue. We've seen this before. Honeymoon Hearse as well. Dormant Grove. Enchantment, rare, no, uncommon. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature you control. Then, if that creature has toughness 6 or greater, transform Dormant Grove into Gnarled Grove Strider, Vigilance. Other creatures you control have Vigilance 3/6. Vigilance meaning they don't tap when you attack. And here we've got the Restless Bloodseeker again. Unholy Officiant again. Old Rutstein. When Old Rutstein enters the battlefield, it's a rare card. Or at the beginning of your upkeep, mill a card. If a land card is milled this way, create a treasure token. If a creature card is milled this way, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. If a non-creature, non-land card is milled this way, create a blood token. Panicked Bystander in foil turns into Cackling Culprit. Oh, oh, oh. So that's what happens when people see too much violence. They become violent themselves. That's the cartographer lady. Cartographer survey. Cartographer survey. Planes. Wanderlight Spirit. We've seen this before. Wanderlight Spirit can block only flying creatures. Sanctify, sorcery, destroy target artifact or enchantment, and you gain 3 life. Fierce Retribution, instant, cleave 5. Destroy target attacking creature, or destroy target creature. Flourishing Hunter. Unhallowed Phalanx, 1/13. Unhallowed Phalanx enters the battlefield tapped. Blood Tithe Harvester, we've seen him before. Blood Hypnotist, we've seen her before. Wolfkin Outcast, we haven't seen him yet. It's an uncommon card for 5 and 1 green. This spell costs 2 less to cast if you control a wolf or werewolf. It's daybound. The villagers feared him. The Cathars scorned him. Only in the wilds did he find a family that accepted him, because he turns into the Wedding Crasher. Whenever Wedding Crasher or another wolf or werewolf you control dies, draw a card. He raged not just against vampires, but against civilization itself. 6/5. Like I said, not many green cards in this one. Blood-Crazed Socialite. Ange, Maid of Dishonor. I have to check if this is yet another card, yet another art card, because I think I've got 3 different versions of her already. Whenever Ange, Maid of Dishonor and or 1 or more other vampires enters the battlefield under your control, create a blood token. This ability triggers only once. 2, sacrifice another creature or blood token. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. That's a very good card, which I'm going to put in my deck. Blood Fountain in foil. And a card from the list, Obsessive Stitcher. M21, creature, human, wizard, draw a card, then discard a card. Okay. And we've got 10 more to go. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yep. Beautiful art. It is Change of Fortune, Sam Gway. Island. Hungry Ridge Wolf, creature wolf. As long as you control another wolf or werewolf, Hungry Ridge Wolf gets +1/+0 and has trample. Snarling Wolf. You've seen it so many times in the other set. Sure Strike, instant, target creature gets +3/+0 and gains first strike until the end of turn. Wolf Strike, target creature you control gets +2/+0 until the end of turn if it's night. Then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Okay. Groom's Finery, that goes with the Bride's Gown, which we draw straight after. So basically, the 2 of them actually have a synergy. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. It gets an additional 0/2 and has Death Touch as long as an equipment named Bride's Gown is attached to a creature you control. So you can play these together. And it makes sense if you have both cards to put them both into your deck, although one is white, so you will have to have the right lands for this. Soul Cipher Board Artifact. Soul Cipher Board enters the battlefield with 3 omen counters on it. Whenever a creature card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, remove an omen graveyard counter from the Soul Cipher Board. Then, if it has no more omen counters on it, transform it. You can pay 2 and then tap it. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your graveyard, and it transforms into Cipherbound Spirit, creature spirit flying. For 3/2, and you can also pay 3 and 1 and then draw 2 cards and discard 1. We'll take Visionary, Human Wizard. We'll take Visionary, deals 2 damage to you. Exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Activate only as a sorcery. When you play a card exiled with Voltaic Visionary, transform her. She spent many years trying to harness chaos. And she turns into the Volt-charged Berserker. She can't block, but she attacks for 4/3. Thundering Nightmare, beautiful art from the it's rare and it's from the Commander deck, Soulbound. As long as Thundering Nightmare, apologies, is paired with another creature, each of those creatures has, whenever an opponent casts a spell, put a +1/+1 on this creature. And spell is anything. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, with MTG, spell, also creatures are spells. Then we've got the Olivia's Attendants. We haven't seen this for 4/2/2. It's rare. Menace. Whenever they deal damage, you create that many blood tokens, and you can pay 2 and 1, and they deal 1 damage to any target, which would also be the opposing player, and they attack and fight back for 6/6. Then we've got the Vampire's Key as our foil. It's a very, shall we say, subtle foil. And interestingly enough, still none from the Dracula set. Oh, we've got a new spirit token that I haven't seen yet. Ooh. That is some evocative, fear-inducing horror right there. And it is called Curse of Hospitality by Dominic Meyer. Basic land in foil. Aim for the head. Sorcery. Exile a target zombie or target opponent exiles 2 cards from their hand. Undying Malice. It's an instant. Until end of turn, target creature gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter on it. It's an instant. So if you know that you're going to die, your creature's going to die, you can just play it. Rot-Tide Gargantua. It's a zombie kraken. It can exploit, and when it does, each opponent sacrifices a creature. 5/4. A persistent specimen. It's a skeleton. Return persistent specimen from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped for 2 and 1. And it attacks for, it's a 1/1. Dawnhard Geist. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, gain 2 life. Fleeting Spirit. Creature Spirit 4/3/1. You pay 1 and 1. Exile. You can pay 1. Exile 3 cards from your graveyard. Fleeting Spirit gains first strike until the end of turn. Discard a card. Each file. Exile Fleeting Spirit. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next step. Blood Petal Celebrant again. Blood Crazed Socialite. Unholy Officiant again. Concealing Curtains, creature, wall, defender. Transform Concealing Curtains and activate only as a sorcery to work a 0/4. And then it becomes the Revealing Eye. 3/4 Eye Horror, it's rare. When this creature transforms into Revealing Eye, target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do, the player discards that card and then draws another. Very nice card. And we've got Torrent's Fist of Angels. Legendary creature, human cleric as our foil. Beautiful foil as well. And it's a rare. Token creature zombie. This is one of the Geists. Wanderlight Spirit by Andrew Marr. The Plains, where the rain doesn't always stay. Militia Rallier, we've seen this before. Rural Recruit, creature, human peasant, training. When Rural Recruit enters the battlefield, create a 3/1 boar token creature, a creature token, for 3 and 1 green. Nature's Embrace. Enchant a creature or land. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +2/+2. As long as enchanted permanent is a land, it has add 2 mana of any color. That's a really great card. Sheltering Boughs. Enchantment Aura. When Sheltering Boughs enters the battlefield, draw a card. The enchanted creature gets +1/+3. Markov Waltzer. We've seen this before. Markov Purifier, lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, you may pay 2, and if you do, draw a card. Okay. The Weary Prisoner, we've seen her before. Ragged Recluse as well. Markov Waltzer, Old Art, so we can actually compare the two. They look both stunning and very different. Then we have Change of Fortune as a rare. Sorcery, discard your hand, then draw a card for each card you've discarded this turn. Okay, that's a radical thing. And then we've got the Lunar Rejection in foil. Beautiful. Really beautiful. Would be good if we could get Sorin, because then I believe we have every Planeswalker from this set. We've got Chandra, we've got Kaya, we've got Teferi and Sigarda. What is it? I think that's the Handmaidens. The Swamp. Crushing Canopy. Instant, choose one. Destroy target creature with flying or destroy target enchantment. Evolving Wilds, that's a land card. Lightning Wolf, now I've got a full set. Lightning Wolf gains first strike until the end of turn if you pay. Activate only as a sorcery. Oh, it's got flavor text. These thick-furred wolves have adapted to Stenger's storms, channeling their energy into bursts of supernatural speed. Woohoo! Parasitic Grasp. Parasitic Grasp that deals 3 damage to target human creature or to target creature. You gain 3 life. Circle of Confinement. When Circle of Confinement enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls with mana value of 3 or less until Circle of Confinement leaves the battlefield. Whenever an opponent casts a vampire spell with the same name as a card exiled with the Circle of Confinement, you gain 2 life. Binding Geist, we haven't seen this one before. Whenever Binding Geist attacks, target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-0 until the end of turn. You can disturb it, and then it becomes the Spectral Binding. It's an enchantment aura. It gets -2/-0. The creature you enchant, if Spectral Binding, would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Okay. Gluttonous Guest, we've seen her before. Belligerent Guest as well. Millicent Restless Revenant. Legendary creature, Spirit Soldier, from the Commander deck, and she is mythic. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each spirit you control flying. Whenever Millicent, Restless Revenant, or another non-token spirit you control dies or deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. This is quite expensive. Cemetery Protector, we haven't seen her yet. Mythic, rare creature, Human Soldier Flash. For 2 and 2, when Cemetery Protector enters the battlefield, exile a card from a graveyard. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, if it shares a card type with the exiled card, create... We have to check what card type actually is. Shore Strike in foil. And a day-night token. Let's see how we're doing with regard to the list. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're still waiting for 2 more from the list. We're looking at 7.5, so... Nothing from the list. She's dreaming, I assume. Tormented Prophet, yeah. The Island. Sporeback Wolf. As long as it's your turn, Sporeback Wolf gets +0, +2. And it's just a creature. Spore Crawler. Got this so many times I can put it to the side. Mulch. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all land cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Mold Graph Millipede. When it enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards, then put a +1/+1 counter on Mold Graph Millipede for each creature card in your graveyard. Okay. On the Cathars, it's a sorcery. It's uncommon. Until the end of turn, target creature gets +3/+3. Up to 1 other target creature gets +2/+2, and up to 1 other target creature gets +1/+1. Those creatures gain vigilance until the end of turn. Angelic Quartermaster, it's an angel flying soldier. When Angelic Quartermaster enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 other target creatures. Stand strong, we will reclaim the dawn. Foreboding Statue, artifact, creature construct. For 3, add 1 mana of any color when you tap it. Put an omen counter on Foreboding Statue. At the beginning of your end step, if there are 3 or more omen counters on Foreboding Statue, untap it, then transform it. As the sand eroded, a faint sound could be heard whirling under the ground, and it becomes Forsaken Thresher. It's a construct for 5/5. Were it not for the cultist's fatal curiosity, the terrible machine might have lain dormant for decades more. The beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add 1 mana of any color. The Blood Hypnotist, we've seen her before. Blood Petal Celebrant. Shattered Sanctum, rare. It's a land. Shattered Sanctum enters the battlefield tapped, and it translates then into a white or a black mana. The Quietus cult holds their grim ceremonies in the dark places where unburied dead litter the ground. Okay, great. And we've got the Lantern Bearer as our foil. Nothing from the list. We've got a human as a token, beautiful token. And we've got, okay, something that I find hard to identify, but this looks like a person in a gown and some kind of syringe. It's probably something entirely different. It's Thirst for Discovery by Dominic Meyer. We've got a swamp. Mind Leech Ghoul, creature zombie, and I need to switch out the camera. So here we are back with a new camera, and I still need to zoom in. So here we've got the mindless ghoul, which is a creature zombie, exploits. When Mind Leech Ghoul exploits a creature, each opponent exiles a card from their hand. Doomed Dissenter. When Doomed Dissenter dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Diagraph Scavenger. It's a zombie bear, Death Touch. When Diagraph Scavenger enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target card from your graveyard. From a graveyard. If a creature card was exiled this way, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So you can mess with somebody else's discard. Siphon Essence. Instant. Counter target creature or planeswalker spell. Create a blood token. Griffwing Cavalry, flying, training. So +1/+1 if it works with someone with a greater power. And whenever it attacks, you may pay 1/+1. And if you do, target attacking creature without flying gains flying until end of turn. So basically you could pair this up with this guy. With something with a greater power that doesn't have flying. So it gets the +1/+1 for the training and it makes it fly. Very nice. Laid to Rest, enchantment. When a human you control dies, draw a card. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, you gain 2 life. Sawblade Slinger, creature, human archer. Uncommon. When Sawblade Slinger enters the battlefield, choose up to 1. Destroy target artifact and opponent controls, or you fight a target zombie and opponent controls immediately. So, Desperate Farmer. I think we've seen this human peasant before, and he turns into, yeah, Depraved Harvester. Binding Geist, we've seen it before. Halana and Alina are partners, and we've seen them before as well. And we've got the Wedding Security Old Art in foil. Beautiful. 4 more to go. This might be Kaya. I'm not sure. No, it is Mina Harker, Magali Villeneuve. Ah, yeah, that's the from the Dracula Witch's Web. We've seen this before. Toxic Scorpion. It's a creature with Death Touch. When Toxic Scorpion enters the battlefield, another target creature you control gains Death Touch until the end of turn. Massive Might. It's an instant target creature, gets +2/+2 and gains Trample until the end of turn. Run. It's coming for us eventually. Yaster, Havengul Shopkeeper. Honored Heirloom artifact. Add 1 mana of any color. Exile target card from your graveyard. Bramble Armor. Seen this many times. Wedding Security again. Edgar's Awakening. Bloodsworn Squire. That's the old art. We've seen her before. Blood Tithe Harvester in the old art. Mirrorhole Mimic. You may have, and that's a rare, you may have Mirrorhole Mimic enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield except it's a spirit in addition to its other types. And you can disturb it, and then it becomes the Ghastly Mimicry. And then you enchant a creature with it. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of enchanted creature except it's a spirit in addition to its other types. If Ghastly Mimicry would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. And that is the Rot-Tide Gargantua in foil. And Call of the Nightwing. This is another one from the list, and I also have it already. That's funny. Very nice artwork, and it is Dreadfugue by Robin Tsai. It's a swamp. Whoops, upside down. Apprentice Sharpshooter, Reach, Training, Human Archer 1/4. Dawnheart Disciple, Human Warlock. Whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, Dawnheart Disciple gets +1/+1 until the end of turn. Daybreak Combatants, we saw the full art earlier. Haste, when Daybreak Combatants enters the battlefield, target creature gets +2/+0 until the end of turn. Resistance Squad, Human Soldier, when Resistance Squad enters the battlefield, if you control another human, draw a card for 3/2. Very nice. Allenbrock Escort, Vigilance, Human Cleric, sacrifice Allenbrock Escort, a target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains lifelink and indestructible until the end of turn. Drogskull Infantry, Weary Prisoner, Skulking Killer. Why is this over here? Wedding Ring, it's an artifact and it's mythic rare, and it is from the commander deck. When Wedding Ring enters the battlefield, if it was cast, target opponent creates a token that's a copy of it. Whenever an opponent who controls an artifact named Wedding Ring draws a card during their turn, you draw a card. Okay, so that's really for the commander where you play with someone else. Old Rutstein, we've seen him before. Reckless Impulse. It's a sorcery and a beautiful foil. And a token. Nice coffin. Edgar Markov's coffin. We get a forest. Kessig Flame Breather. Creature, human shaman. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Kessig Flame Breather deals 1 damage to each opponent. Nice. Abrade. I've got this so many times. Abrade deals 3 damage to target creature or destroy a target artifact. End of Festivities, it's a sorcery. Deals 1 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. Very nice. Lacerate Flesh. Lacerate Flesh deals 4 damage to target creature. Create a number of blood tokens equal to the amount of excess damage dealt to that creature this way. Seaguardian Paladin. Uncommon. Creature, human knight. As long as you've put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on a creature this turn, Seaguardian Paladin has trample and lifelink. You can pay 1, 1, and 1. Target creature you control with +1/+1. And on it gains trample and lifelink until the end of turn. Cloaked Cadet. Training. Human Ranger. And whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on 1 or more humans you control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Alluring Suitor, you've seen this before. Bloodsworn Squire, we've seen her before as well. Doomweaver, we haven't seen that. Spider Horror, rare, reach, soulbound. As long as Doomweaver is paired with another creature, each of these creatures has, when this creature dies, draw cards equal to its power. Voldaren Estate. That's the full art we saw earlier. It's a land. You can add, you tap it and add mana of any kind. You pay 1 life and you can add 1 mana of, no, you add 1 neutral. Here you can add any mana and spend this mana only to cast a vampire and create a blood token. This ability, okay, super. And finally, we've got the Crawling Infestation in foil. It's kind of subtle foil. And now this brings us to our very last booster. And I think this is Dying to Serve. Undead Butler, Nestor Osandon Leal. Planes. Repository Scarp, we saw this before. Stitched Assistant as well. Wretched Thong as well. Wretched Thong. Valorous Stance, it's an instant. You choose 1. Target creature gains indestructible until the end of turn or destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater. Very useful. Rending Flame, instant. Rending Flame deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If that permanent is a spirit, Rending Flame also deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller. Biolume Egg, we've seen this before. Gluttonous Guest, Unholy Officiant, Falconrat, Grolnok the Omnivore. It's a legendary creature frog. Whenever a frog you control attacks, mill 3 cards. Whenever a permanent card is put into your graveyard from your library, exile it with a croak counter on it. You may play lands and cast spells from among cards you own in exile with croak tokens on them. And we have the Selhoff Entomber as the foil card. So that is all from our unboxing, and we have how many cards from the list? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Kinda, sorta. We were looking for 7.5, so 8, but that's fine. And in total we gained 1, 2, let's zoom out a little. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mythic rares, and 2 of whom are planeswalkers. Well, it's actually the same planeswalker twice in different art styles and really beautiful. And of course we got the box topper, Quincy Harker. And that's all. That was the unboxing of the Crimson Vow set booster display. Talk to you soon. Bye.